Hello, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. If you are a friend or fan, welcome back. I know this is like not a normal angle, but vlogs of 2021, we're going to be changing it up a little bit. So I just wanted to check in real quick because I'm starting a new vlog. Normally what I do at the beginning of the year, I have the last 2 years done a 24-hour readathon on New Year's Day, which I'm planning to do. So this is a couple days before that. And I thought I would start the vlog while I was thinking about it because it might be more than one day. I might just be like first vlog of the year. But something that I asked people to do a couple weeks back was to send me their favorite reads of 2020. And so I made a list. I got something on my notebook and it's really annoying. I made a list of these, and then from that list I picked books that I either already had on my Kindle or were already on my radar. And I came up with 8 of them. Now I don't know that I'll get through all of those, but I wanted to tell you the ones that I am most going to try to get through over the next couple days. And then we'll see. So I for sure want to get through Queen Move by Kennedy Ryan. This one I've had since we did, I've had this book for so long because it's so many people's favorite book of 2020. And I recently finally read some Kennedy Ryan and I really enjoyed it, even though it hurt me a lot. And I've actually already read 20% of Queen Move, but I think I'm going to start over because I don't remember enough of it. But I already own Queen Move on my Kindle, so I want to do that. The next one that is a historical romance is Once and Always by Judith McNaught. I don't know anything about this, but I have been purchasing Judith McNaught's, and so I own a couple versions of this book, actually, so I want to try to get to that one. Then there's more Kennedy Ryan on here. There is the King's Men's duet, and I've heard really great things about that one, so I might try to do that. Also, some that I have already grabbed on KU are Fake Out by Eden Finley. This is supposed to be, I believe it's supposed to be a fake dating male-male romance, I think. And that was super intriguing to me because I like male-male. And usually you don't get a fake dating situation that's a gay situation. I could be totally wrong, but I believe this is one where someone pretended to be gay to get out of another relationship. So then when he's going to be around that woman, he needs to pretend to be dating someone. I think that's the premise of this one. I can't remember. And then I have Queen of All That Dies by Laura Thalassa. So this is supposed to be a fantasy romance. I have not made it through. I think I've only read one Laura Thalassa, and I think that is Pestilence. That's Laura Thalassa, right? And I read that when it very first came out, and then I keep looking at other Laura Thalassa because I hear she's really great fantasy romance, and I just haven't tried it yet. I'm really picky with fantasy romance, but this one came up and the cover looked amazing, and it's on KU, so I grabbed it. And then the last one that I want to try to get to for sure is The Truth About Heartbreak by B. Celeste. So number one, I'm 90% sure the first one doesn't have an HEA because this is a trilogy. But I have read a B. Celeste before and I really liked it. And I think this one is this one a stepbrother or a stepfather romance? I can't remember, but I know it's taboo for one of those two. I believe that Mary from More to Mary really liked this one. So I want to give this one a go. And we'll see. So I feel like I have a pretty good amount to choose from. And so the reason why this isn't going to be just a one-day thing is I actually have some things happening on New Year's Day already. So I don't want to commit to doing too much and then not be able to get to all these, because I for sure want to get to those 6. The other ones I have on here is Love Lettering by Kate Claiborne, Only When It's Us by Chloe Leese. And yeah, so those 8 books are the ones I have, but I wanted to leave some room in there because if I read the King's Men's duet, that's 2 books. The Queen of All That Dies, I think there's 3 in that series if I end up liking it, and the same with The Truth About Heartbreak, there's more. So I wanted to leave myself some room in case I end up binging those. So there you go. This is going to be the start of this vlog, even though I don't know if I'll start any of these yet. I wanted to film the clip because a lot of times what happens with books like these, and as you've seen in other vlogs, is I have these all ready to go on my Kindle, and when I finish another book, I might just decide to start it, and I want to have already filmed the intro for it. So there we go. That is my plan for, this is Bookstagrammer's favorite books, so I took these recommendations from my Bookstagram, so we shall see. Anyway, I'm about to do a live premiere of one of my Bridgerton reviews, so I'm going to go ahead and get my computer open and get going. I'm really glad that I filmed all those, even though it was a lot of work. So I hope if you have watched Bridgerton, you'll maybe come and check out my reviews as a fan of the books. I review the show just based on its own merit, but I also connect it back to the book too, which is fun. So, all right, I'll check in with you soon once I have read one of these or some of it. Hey, so look at my awesome shirt before we say anything. So I ordered this shirt from XOXO Lady Whistledown, which is a newly opened Etsy shop, and I'm totally repping her stuff. This is all the Bridgertons. Look at how sexual. Anyway, you should definitely check her out. I'll probably link her down below if I remember. Otherwise, I found her when she started following me on Instagram. She was following my Bridgerton content, and I saw that her profile picture was a t-shirt, and I had been looking for a Bridgerton shirt like this, but I could only find it in either like black or white, and she had some different colors, and she keeps adding new designs. Crystal and I are hoping for a Simon shirt somehow, or like a Duke and I shirt, because we really like Simon and stuff. But anyway, so I need to check in. I already finished a book. This is the next day, and I started and finished Fake Out by Finley. So this one, I know I said in the last clip, but this was a fake dating, and it ended up being a little different than I expected it to, in a good way and in like a meh kind of way. So the good part of it is that this guy had broken up with his college girlfriend by saying that he was gay because she was wanting them to get married, and so he pretended to be gay because he didn't want to marry her, and he was kind of being an asshole about it. So rather than just break up with her because she was a nice girl, he pretended to be gay, which is a shitty thing to do. But it kind of like bit him in the ass, because not only did that spread around his entire small town, and so now he can never like have a girlfriend again unless he wants to admit that he lied, but now that old girlfriend is getting married and he gets invited to her wedding, and he blurts out that he has a boyfriend. And so he ends up asking his coworker, who is a best friend of his, because she has a gay brother, if he could borrow her brother for this wedding. And in return, he will introduce her brother, who is looking to become a sports agent, to his brother-in-law, who is a hockey player. So they meet, and it's really cute and all these things. And it slowly becomes clear, though, that this isn't a like gay for you story, because our the one hero, who is Maddox, the one who pretended to be gay, he actually has like experimented on his own and is definitely bi, but has never like labeled himself before, until he starts talking with Damon. And Damon is, Maddox explains some situations where he had a roommate who would give him blowjobs all the time, and they would fool around all the time, but would just like not, it wouldn't admit anything. And once Damon is like, yeah, that's what bi or gay people do when they don't want to like do anything about it, and like anyway, so he's like, you definitely don't mind doing stuff with men. And so then Maddox, there's that normal, like, he's noticing how sexy he is, but Damon is in the last few weeks of school, and as well as he doesn't want to be somebody's experiment. And so when it comes out between the two of them that Maddox has experimented with people before, and obviously he's really turned on by Damon, like the evidence is there, he's like, you don't have any reason to like say no to me, because unless you don't like me, that's a good reason, but otherwise you're not the first guy I've ever done anything with, so chill out. I really loved the first 50% of this. It was a pretty slow burn, which based on this cover, I wasn't expecting that. Okay, expectations, I know. But also based on this cover, I was expecting this to be a more dark romance, and it's almost kind of a rom-com. There are some, I mean, there aren't any, like, okay, I lied. There's a trigger warning for illness of a parent, but I was like, there's no trigger warnings in this, really. It's not a dark romance, but I mean, there's a trigger warning for that, but that can be in any kind of story. You can have illness of a parent. So I ended up getting pretty bored in the last 50%, and the issues that were thrown up in the last, 20%, I was just like, we didn't need this. And then it wasn't steamy enough for me. So that adds up to all of those things, right? You know how I feel about my steam. You know how I feel about it. I can see why this would be really great, because it isn't a completely gay for you story, which I love those. I know. I'm a het woman who likes gay for you stories. Sorry. I am. But it just like didn't work for me for other reasons than that. Like, I don't mind that it wasn't a gay for me story. I liked that he had already been messing around a little bit because we got to skip that parts of it. But then there was all these other roadblocks in the way. So I was like, well, I was hoping that it not being a gay for you story would mean we could get busy sooner. And it just wasn't happening. And so for me, this ended up being a 3-star, which according to my new rating system that started at the beginning of the year, that means that I enjoyed it while I was reading it, may have skimmed some part of it, and I probably won't recommend it, but I may forget it later on. So this was enjoyable, but once I started skimming, that's why there weren't any other updates, because I started this during the last couple hours of work today, and then when I was at the gym, and then when I got home and was like making dinner and taking a shower, I like listened to it. And then when I laid down, because I have the audiobook copy of it too, I all of a sudden was pretty bored and started skimming, and then I was done. So this one was a 3-star, so kind of sad about that. But I can see why people would like this one. And this is the beginning of a whole story that's about fake boyfriends, and I'm pretty sure they're all male. We did meet who the next couple will be, but I don't see myself continuing this if it's going to be the low level of steam. Like, that's the thing too. I like pretty smutty male romances, because there's just something about like 2 alphas or like 2 cocks in the game gets me really excited, and there just wasn't like enough of this. It was just pretty PG-13 minus the one fucking scene. So yeah. But anyway, the next read, which is why I like popped in, because I am going to finish reading, this wasn't one of the picks, but I'm going to finish reading this because I'm almost done, which is To Seduce a Highlander by Kerrigan Byrne. But I did go through my Audible upgrades, and I realized that a couple of the books I had on this list had Audible upgrade options. And so the next one I'm going to start is The Queen of All That Dies, because I found that one for only $7.50. And so after I finish this, I'll still have enough time to get started on The Queen of All That Dies. This one, I'm not 100% sure what it's about. I read some reviews, and it actually got me really excited, because when I see a lot of 1- and 2-star reviews for a book that some people give like 5 stars to, I get really excited, because if it's recommended to me by someone, by people who know me, they know that I like pretty twisted shit. And so people who try reading, because I think this one is a fantasy romance, or it might be dystopian romance. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm very intrigued. And all I know is that there's a king, and then he gets a first look at this woman. He's an evil person, and he gets a first look at this girl, and then he wants her, and she's like maybe forced into a marriage with him and becomes his queen. But I was reading some of the clips, and there's definitely some dubious consent in this one, and probably even some like non-consent, because there was a snippet from like a sex scene where they're having sex and she's saying "I hate you" to his face. And I was like, ooh, I like those. So I have only read one Laura Thalassa, which is part of the reason why I picked this one, because I've heard great things. I love fantasy romance. I like paranormal romance. And I've only ever read Pestilence by her. And this was before that series was like popular. I read it of my own volition. Well, I read everything of my own volition, but I read that one a long time ago. And so I don't know how I'd feel about it now, because I wasn't really into paranormal and darker romances as much back then. So I've heard mixed things about that series as a whole, but I think I would try it again. So that's going to be the next one that I read after I finish To Seduce a Highlander, because I'm almost done. So there we go. That's the first update. Look at me. It's been a while since I've done a vlog, because I've been filming Bridgerton videos for so long. So I would like have to remember to check in. But yeah, so 1 book down and like 4 or 5 to go. We'll see where this goes. Hello. All right. It's the next morning. I, again, finished a book. Ouch. My abs hurt from working out yesterday. I finished The Queen of All That Dies just now. Last night I read 80% of it, and I read the next 20% while I was getting ready for work this morning. Again, this position's weird, and I'm like backlit instead of frontlit because this is where my desk is now. It used to be in my room, if you remember vlogs from last year. This book is really hard to describe. This is also a cliffhanger, which I knew because it's a trilogy about the same couple the whole time. So I was like, there's going to be cliffhangers. And I did grab the next 2 on Kindle, but I'm going to try to hold off because I want to continue with the books for this reading vlog. But I may give in because it was a really good cliffhanger. Also, this book, yeah, it's so hard to describe. So I thought this was a fantasy romance. It's actually kind of a sci-fi romance. It's a dystopian of some kind. Because the King Lazuli, who he is a great dictator for most of the world. And then there is the WUN, which is the Western United States, I guess is kind of like the last vestiges holding off against him. And we have Serenity, who is 19 years old. Yeah, this fits into new adult, and I'll explain more about that in a second. I don't read much new adult these days, but it's doing okay for me. It's working for me. So she works with, like, what's it called? I can't remember. A emissary? Her father's the emissary, and she's like his emissary in training. And they're going in for peace talks with this king because they've been at war for a long time. And this king, when he sees her, he immediately is interested. Now, she wasn't told of this, but the people above her were hoping she'd catch his eye. I don't know how they knew what kind of women that he was into, but obviously knew something about it because he's kind of insta-love with her, or insta-obsessed with her. It's a thing. He's very much like, oh my God, I want this woman so badly, which I don't mind now and then because he becomes willing to risk his whole nation and change, not risk his nation, but change how he was planning to do things so that he could have her. Now, on the surface, that seems a little ridiculous, and maybe it kind of is, because he's fully aware that she is this, like, literal honey trap sent in to get him, you know, to manipulate him into what they want. But there is certain information that will be revealed about the king through this book that makes him finding a wife and, like, him having someone more important to him than a lot of other things. And so once number one, I love when there's a villain or an anti-hero who becomes obsessed with a heroine. Like, I just love that anyway. That's kind of my brand. So I'm pretty sure that's why people suggested this to me and told me it was their favorite book, because it has a lot of that. And so I don't think it's like a spoiler to say that since the title is The Queen of All That Dies, that he eventually is willing to make this peace deal if she will be given to him as a wife.
She is a super fierce chick because she was in the army beforehand, and now she works for the government, but it's like in a pretty like ball busting way. And so Serenity is strangely attracted to him, but even when he makes moves on her, she's not willing to just lay down and take it. And she fights him all the way. And it's really, really good. And I got pretty excited when I looked at the reviews and there was people saying, oh my gosh, there's serious dubious consent in this and she like hates it. And I was like, again, we're talking to Jenn. And number two, I feel like this was read by people who weren't expecting that, and I was expecting it. And it's a wedding night situation that there's the dubious consent, and it's not. But I'll say that because she's there in this situation. She has traded herself for her nation, so she has asked to be there. And there's even a line she says, she's like, is this what people felt like in arranged marriages? Were they scared? Did they want to go through with it? But were they also a little excited and wanted to do it? And I really feel like that's what she really conveys, is that she is sexually attracted to him and she wants to do it, but she knows she should hate it. So particularly this one scene, he's like, they're doing it, and she's like, I hate it. I hate you. And he's like, no, you don't. Just give up. And it's so hot. Oh, God. But this is new adult, and so I don't know if we'll have more sexy time in further books. This was, like, not enough for me. And this is something that I have with Thalassa, too, is the one other one I read for her, I was warned how dark and sexy this was. And I think that it's because the people reading it hadn't read anything like that before. Whereas me, I'm like, this doesn't quite hit my sexy threshold, especially for how much hate we have between them and how sexually attracted they are. The plot is definitely at the forefront, at least in the first one. But I did finish it. I'm torn about my ratings for it. I think it's going to be a 4 or 4 point. It is one that I would recommend, so that puts it at least a 4. And if there had been just a little more sex in it, I would probably give it like a 4.5. But I definitely am going to read the second one, just probably not for this vlog, but very soon, because I have the next 2 books and I want to read them, but I want to continue with this. So I don't know which one I'm doing next. Let me check here. I may either do The Truth About Heartbreak, or else I also have Queen Move. So Queen Move, I'm already 40% into that book just from before. I may need to kind of refresh myself up to a point. But I think with Queen Move, I was finally getting to a spot where something was going to happen, so I don't want to rewind too much. And The Truth About Heartbreak probably won't get started today. So it is the beginning of my workday. It's also New Year's Eve. And for New Year's Eve tonight, after work, I'm going to my friend's house. She lives about 45 minutes away, and I have her and her husband's Christmas presents. So I'm going to be going to spend the night with them because they didn't have any New Year's plans yet. Many people don't have New Year's plans. And we're probably going to watch Bridgerton again because her and I, we always watch those kind of shows together. And it'll be fun to watch it again. And I can wear my Bridgerton t-shirt for it, and it's going to be great. So that's the checkup for this. Queen of All That Dies, definitely a win. I just don't know how I'm rating it yet, but it was very exciting, and I really liked Serenity. Yeah, it was fun. It was a good one. So that was a good one. I'm happy.
Hey, it is New Year's Day, and I'm filming a vlog clip. So, didn't read Queen Move, like I said. I ended up really wanting to still be reading some kind of like enemies to lovers. And one of the other options, which I didn't list at the beginning of this vlog, but like I said, I had more than just those ones. Those are just the ones I thought I would pick. And one of the other options I had was Touch of Darkness by Scarlett and Clair, which is a Hades and Persephone retelling. And it has a really interesting world building. Like, this one I'd say is a cross between a fantasy and a paranormal, which to me that's kind of what paranormal is anyway. But because it's not quite our world, like it's not quite a modern world, but yet it is. But it's also like gods and goddesses are just like a part of the world. So it's like a weird mix. But I ended up getting up this one because I went through my Audible and I upgraded a bunch of books that I had in Kindle to the Audible version. And so I read A Touch of Darkness and I actually finished it as well. So I'm on the second one of these. And I'm already getting a little stressed out because the third one of these isn't out until May. And I didn't realize there was only 2 of these books out when I started it. So I'm a little bit irritated with myself that I'm going to be caught up to this and then have to wait. Trilogies like this where they will have cliffhangers at the end, I like the whole series to be out before I start it. It's just kind of a thing that I do to be nice to myself. However, I'm really liking this one. The first one I definitely gave 5 stars. It is like, I mean, it's a classic Hades and Persephone retelling. Like, literally, they are Hades and Persephone, but with, like, modern world. Like, they're called Hades and Persephone. She is a journalist, and she's the daughter of Demeter, and her mom is giving her a chance to, like, live her life and do what she wants. And so she's, like, went to school, and she is a journalist, and then she sneaks into Hades' club, and she ends up playing a game with him and doesn't realize it until the end. And so for playing this game, she owes him a bargain, and his bargain is for her to create life in the underworld. Well, she's supposed to have the same powers that her mother does, the goddess of the harvest, and Persephone cannot create life. She actually makes it wither. And so he gives her 6 months to create life in the underworld, or else she must live with him there forever. Yeah. So Hades then, he's kind of a businessman. He's one of the 3 main gods, which is Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades. And so those are the 3 brothers. And it's really great. So, I don't know. I did a really bad job explaining this book. I'll talk more about it in my, like, weekly wrap-up, which should, like, be up already. But yeah, it's really good. Like, I don't know. There's just something about it. It was told in a really compelling way. It's a slow burn, but it's still, like, pretty steamy, even for being a slow burn. And it really picks up near the end. I wouldn't call it, like, overly graphic. Like, I personally would like a little, like, there's just certain ways that I like my scenes to be done. But it's very enjoyable, and I definitely get why people said this is one of their favorite Hades and Persephone retellings, because I'm really liking it. And obviously, I jumped right into the second one, and I'm probably going to finish that tonight. And then I'm going to try to read Queen Move. So that's going to be my goal. So whenever Queen Move gets finished is when this vlog will be done. So maybe you guys won't see another clip for a while. I mean, you won't know that it'll be in this one, but Queen Move, I absolutely want to read for this one because so many people picked that as their favorite book last year. And I have read some Kennedy Ryan now, so I know that I will like it. So even though I might end up reading some other things, the last thing I will finish is to finish Queen Move. But I am glad that I read A Touch of Darkness. That was also, it wasn't like on the list I made for this vlog, but it was within the responses that I got from people. And that's why I had it on my Kindle. And so when I was going through and finding the Audible upgrades, like I said, this one was an option. And I'm really glad. The narrator is really good too. And the voice that she does for Hades is on point. So I highly recommend the audio for these as well. So that's enough of this. The next clip should be Queen Move or Bust, okay? That's the plan, is for it to be Queen Move, but we shall see. Peace. Okay, let's wrap this up. So I realized that I didn't hop in with any more updates, but I actually finished the last book I was reading for this a couple days ago, and I was like, oh yeah, we need to wrap up that vlog. Today I'm not wearing any makeup, not that that's any different than the rest of the times I check in for a vlog, but yeah, I ended up finishing Queen Move. like I said, a couple days ago, and then I've just been too lazy to film this last clip, and I'm like, what are you doing? You can film this and get this vlog up for everybody. So I'm doing it right now. We're wrapping it up, and we're gonna get this video up for my channel members, and then I'll decide when to post it. So let's talk about Queen Move for a minute, and then we'll do an overview of everything again, because I ended up reading 4 books for this, which was really fun, and I'm really glad that I did this, and I definitely want to do others like this, maybe with my favorite booktubers' favorite books or stuff like that. We'll see. I want to find a way to do that. But anyway, so Queen Move, I gave 3.5 stars to, and I rated it as a 3-star on everything. I was sad to do that, but also not, because you know what? I don't have to love every book by an author, even an author that I love, and I know, but there's just something about Queen Move where it was so many people's like favorites, and I wonder, I don't know if it was because it's Kennedy Ryan, and it does have some great stuff to say. And after like chatting about it with a couple of my friends who also read it, I realized I'm not alone in this feeling. Obviously, not that I care. If I would be alone, I would still tell you my opinion, but I was just kind of bummed because I really have liked the Hoops novels. I really enjoyed Long Shot and Hook Shot, and we do get to see Lotus a little bit in this one. Also, I didn't end up reading the Kingsmen duet. I keep calling that series the Kingmaker Chronicles, but that's a fantasy series. And I feel like if I'd read the King's Men, I might have had a better feel for Kimba before diving into this, because this book is definitely Kimba's book. Kimba's a badass. She's amazing, as always. She's a fantastic Kennedy Ryan female character. She's got some damage. She's got some things, but she's great. And she has helped elect the President of the United States. Is it the President? Yes. And she's working on a different campaign. But here's the thing. All that stuff is boring to me. All that stuff I didn't want to read about in the current political climate and stuff that's happened. I just I don't care. So that is not this book's fault, but also it is because it's the topic that it's about, and it's a main part of our story, and you can't hide from it. Like, it's there. Also, one of the reasons why this book took me so long to read, because I started this back with the Kindle Clear Out readathon, and I just couldn't get through it back then either, because a big portion of this book is like we have a time jump story. So we're seeing them as kids, and then we see them a little bit older, and then we see them at a funeral, and then we see them 2 years later, and then there's even some more time jumps through the story, which is something that I guess I just have to get used to with Kennedy Ryan, because she likes to show a long drawn out story of a couple. And I honestly, what I prefer, and this is just what I look for when I'm reading my own, is I don't mind seeing the past of a characters. If it's a second chance romance or a childhood lovers, friends to lovers, we do need to see that. But I like us to start at the furthermost point of their story and do flashbacks. Personally, that's how I feel. Because when I see people as kids and I know it's not going to work out until they're an adult, I just don't like it, and it has me skipping those parts anyway. And so then it felt like I was a really significant partway into this book before the romance was happening. There's also just, I know it happens in romance a lot, but because we started with them as kids, instead of, again, starting at their furthest, most point of their relationship and then, hopping back to see things, I just didn't believe that these 14-year-olds, and then 20 years later, that they had such a deep connection that it was just instantly back. And I don't know what it was. It just, about the way that this one was told, as I was like, I wasn't feeling it. Whereas even with Long Shot, there's not a lot of jumping. We start with them at a pretty, it's only a couple of years. They're still very young. Whereas these ones, they're in their 30s and late 30s, and there's stuff going on. And I don't know, guys. I'm not that frustrated with it. It's just that I feel like I ended up skimming a lot of this book. Also, again, it's Kimba's book. Ezra, I felt for him, but I didn't feel as connected with Ezra as I was with August, or with, I can't remember his name, but the guy from Hookshot. I just didn't feel him as much because the relationship that he was in was just weird. I don't know. So anyway, enough ranting about that one. I gave it 3.5 stars, and I understand why it would be a favorite, but I think I started that book and it was my first Kennedy Ryan, and then I didn't finish it, and I've read 2 other Kennedy Ryan since then, and then I came back to it, and it didn't work. So it was a 3.5 star. So to round up everything else, this was a semi-good reading blog. I mean, Fake Out by Eden Finley I read. That was a 3 star, but it was really fun, even though it just didn't connect with me the way that some others have. But I still enjoyed my time reading it, and it helped that I had the audio for that. Queen of All That Dies, absolutely loved it. 4.5 stars. Which may be raised up when I read the next 2. I definitely plan to read the next 2 books in this series very soon. I have them on my Kindle and on Audible, so I'm going to read and listen along with those. I'm probably going to save them, well, not that long. I have some historical romances that I have to get read for book clubs and stuff, and then I will probably jump into those ones soon because they're great. And then I read A Touch of Darkness and A Touch of Ruin, and those were both 5-star books, and I absolutely loved it. I haven't read a Laura Thalassa in such a long time. Like, I read Pestilence way back in the day before it was cool or anything, and I just, the angst and the sexiness, Hades and Persephone myth, and they're just so and so, like, each one has a cliffhanger, but it had, like, it's not even a cliffhanger. So both the first one and the second one, like, there's more to come. The second one kind of has a cliffhanger, but they still, like, the couple is always in a good place at the end of each book. So whatever, like, arc that they have for their relationship, it happens. A lot of the reviews for these say, like, oh, the miscommunication, all this, all that. And I'm like, that's true. However, when we're dealing with gods and goddesses who have a long-standing reputation, even though that reputation is being proved to be false in some aspects, I can understand why Persephone, that it's hard for her to overcome those things. And Hades is just, he's fuckable deliciousness. He is, he's so good. Like, I don't know what else to say. I love him. I need to read the novella. I mean, it's almost a full-length book length, but there is one that it's from his point of view of, like, the first one and part of the second one, maybe. I don't know. That's such a cliche to have books written that way, but because these are only her POV, I really want it. So I'm probably gonna read that one too, since the third one doesn't come out till May. So know that. If I've hyped you for this series, I was deceived, because when I looked these up, I saw the trilogy, not realizing that the third one isn't out until May. So be warned. But it was great. So yeah, so this was my reading Instagram favorites. I'm really glad that I did do this. There are still some on this list that I want to get to, but I didn't want to make a vlog about all of them. Love lettering, I'm still planning to read for the Smart Women Read Romance Patreon pick. And I may still read The King's Men Duet by Kennedy Ryan at some point, because I've heard great things about that one. And now, having seen some of those characters in Queen Move, I'm interested to do it. So thank you so much for watching this. I also want to say a big welcome to my new channel supporter, Monet. Monet she joined at the Sassy supporter level, and she has been a member of the channel, or like watching my channel, for a very long time. I always appreciate her comments and support. So thank you so much for joining, Monet. All of you can find more of me in my links down below. There's always a link tree to my socials, to my Amazon storefront, where I try to keep updated with the books that I'm reading if you want to purchase any of them. Yeah, I think that's it. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day. Bye.